Welcome, baseball fans, to Week 1 of the MLB Power Rankings, brought to you by State of MLB. Well, we've had quite a first week of baseball. As we get into the Power Rankings, there are going to be a few heavy swings in rankings, but that's largely because of two things. One, you don't win. There are no games during the postseason, so all the potential from trades and acquisitions and everything, none of that plays into factor for the power of a team until they actually start producing on the field. So our baseline is a snapshot of the end of last season and all that went into that. In addition to that, we've played all of 3 games this whole season so far. And with that, we've had 4 options. Either 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, 0-3, right? Well, it just so happens that the Giants and Dodgers played a 4-game set, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that took out that whole element. They could have had a variety of angles, and we'll get into the one that they had. But the other thing is, in over 30 years, we've never had absolutely nobody sweep the first week of the season. This year, nobody swept and nobody got swept. Everybody recognizes how important it is to bring your A game and stay in this thing because you got 60 games to get to the playoffs. That's it. It's a sprint, all out, win today, worry about tomorrow, right? Given that, out of 30 teams, outside of the 2 that had 4 games, you've got 28 teams who either went 2-1 or 1-2. There's not a significant difference in record in that regard. And the nice thing about it is I had 5 levels of tiebreakers for this. Given that, this week I only had to go 3 deep, largely in part because the third one is the strength of the opponent, and instead of having to deal with factoring in 2 different opponents, you only had 1, and they had definitive rank from our baseline. Given that, after going through our record being either 2-1 or 1-2, strength of victory being the run differential, and then finally the strength of the opponent based upon the baseline, we have a definitive 30 set here. And starting it off would be the 1-2 New York Mets, who, by virtue of just getting clobbered by the Braves, their run differential was in the tanks. They just got their butts kicked. So they ended up dropping 18 spots from where they were at 12 last week. Coming in at number 29, the Chicago White Sox, with whom all that potentially built up over the summer, over the winter break, hasn't manifested itself yet. Granted, they're only 1-2. It doesn't mean that much, but they have to be somewhere. With their rank in the run differential, they end up in 29. Coming in at number 28, the Seattle Mariners. Again, the entire bottom row is quite obvious. They're all 1-2. Top row, all 2-1. Okay? Things get a little more interesting in the middle, but we'll get into that. So, in the bottom right, this is more or less, we're looking at, and for the most part, in most cases, we're looking at your run differential. How strong they played the 3 games, win or lose. Coming in number 27, your Arizona Diamondbacks. Bumgarner did not have a good showing in his first start. Coming in at number 26, the Kansas City Royals. For a team that was thought to be a team that was going to get beat up by everybody else, that they were rebuilding, the fact that they came in 1-2 and they stayed paced with half the league, not too shabby. They didn't get swept. I'll take it. Coming in number 25, the Milwaukee Brewers. While I'm slightly disappointed because I thought they were going to do 2-1 or 3-0, considering they're playing the Chicago Cubs. They're playing last week a 13th ranked team, so it's it could go either way. Fundamentally, Chicago played fundamentally better, so it is what it is. Again, you're looking at 1-2 here. Not a significant amount of progress made in the season, so take this all with a grain of salt. Coming in at number 24, the Pittsburgh Pirates. again, this was a team that was hot and cold last year, and going 1-2, it is what it is. Well, I'm more interested to see what they do with it going forward, considering the fact that everybody here is still in it. Nobody separated. Nobody distinguished themselves. Coming in number 23, the Texas Rangers. After taking on the Colorado Rockies to drop 2 out of 3, it is what it is. They were home games, so it kind of stings for the home field advantage there. But you move on. It's one series. Coming in at 22, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, a team with which, despite the fact that their prize Shobtani pitcher couldn't strike anybody out, they still managed to get out of the weekend 1-2. Not too shabby considering the disappointment he had. And he could have been their only loss of the weekend, but not so much. Coming in at number 21, the Philadelphia Phillies host the Miami Marlins, drop 2 out of 3. Then Miami gets out of town with 12 infections. Oh my goodness. Now the New York Yankees versus Philadelphia Phillies has been postponed for tonight. The Baltimore Orioles at Miami Marlins have been postponed until Major League Baseball figures out what they want to do. The rest of the league continues to play, and the commissioner's already said this is not going to shut down baseball. And from what I've heard is a lot of the reason why Miami came around with so many infections was because they were playing a little bit loose with the protocols, not adhering to all the safety procedures like masks and things of that nature as strictly as they should have been. So whether it was on them or whether they got it from outside of the game is anybody's guess. But as a being, they were historically very good. They took 10 out of 19 from the Phillies last year, so they're short of like an Achilles heel for the Phillies. So given the fact that they get to play New York next, it's not doing Philadelphia any favors, but we'll see how it goes for next week's power rankings. Now, that is the bottom row. Normally, I would say these are the gutter teams, but like I said, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 times already, everyone is virtually even as it is. Fortunately, due to tiebreakers, we have definitive actual rankings for Week 1. Coming at number 20, the poor Toronto Blue Jays, who are not even allowed in Canada, but also haven't had to play a home game yet in the Buffalo, come in at number 20. Coming in number 19, the Cincinnati Reds, my sleeper team, plays 3 games against Detroit, and I remember telling you during my predictions they were going to be a sleeper team because they were going to have the opportunity to beat up on the rebuilding Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals, and then they go and play at home against Detroit and drop 2 out of 3. Considering the fact that they are interleague games, you're not going to get too many of them. That might be the only 3 games they play against Detroit, and they blew it. It is what it is. It's up to them to right the ship and figure out what they're going to do. It was a good opportunity to set a strong path forward, and they didn't quite get it done. Coming in at number 18, the Boston Red Sox. The second team out of the American League East in the same row, largely based upon point differential. What I find interesting about this league, I'll get into it down here, is the close nature of the AL East. Given this, coming in at number 17, the Washington Nationals, who played at home, hosted the New York Yankees, dropped 2 out of 3, had the Yankees with Patrick Corbin in Game 3, had the ability to close them out, and what happens? Corbin gets a home run, relievers give up another run, and next thing you know, it's tied 2-2. The Yankees get a late-inning comeback and manage to hold off at the power of Zach Britton, the Washington Nationals, for a home series. It was a golden opportunity for the defending champions to get off to a strong foot against the perennial favorites going into the season with Garrett Cole's acquisition and last year's all the way to the ALCS Game 6 against the Astros. It was an opportunity for Washington to get a strong foothold, and they didn't quite get done. Well, we start again tomorrow. That's the way baseball works. Coming in number 16, the Giants, with whom I did not think had much in them, did manage to get a win, 2 wins from the American League West Division champions Los Angeles Dodgers, and by virtue of the Dodgers scoring more runs, having played each other, Dodgers become 2-2, number 15. Now you've seen the 2 teams that played each other 4 times, and all your 1 and 2 teams. The Dodgers, fundamentally, I felt, did not play through the potential. Meanwhile, the Giants really came to play. Great job, Giants. You got plenty of time, Dodgers, because you're right smack in the middle of the pack at 15. And even though you've fallen 10 spots from 5 to 15, you're the Dodgers. You were way too stacked, despite the fact that Kershaw's out with back injury. Now, getting into our 2-1 teams. Surprise, surprise, the Detroit Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds. And while their point differential was the weakest of 2-1, they still get to start not start, because last year they were 30th, they were dead last. They get to jump 16 spots and debut at number 14 in week 1. Coming in at number 13, your Baltimore Orioles. Orioles who went to Boston and won 2 out of 3. The Baltimore Orioles, who are teased and picked on for being absolutely dreadful last year, go into Boston and take 2 out of 3. Congratulations, Baltimore. That, for you guys, was a well-earned rank 13. Coming in at number 12, the New York Yankees, after taking 2 out of 3 from the Washington Nationals and having a better run differential than their divisional rival, the Baltimore Orioles and Detroit Tigers, come in number 12. Therefore, while they have fallen from last week's number 3 spot, 9 spots to 12, the fact that they were able to come back against your World Series defending champion Washington Nationals and leave Washington up 2 games to 1, you know what? Bravo. Wonderful work. Great job. And now we haven't even gotten to my other favorite team, which was a surprise this weekend. But yeah, I definitely am one of I follow and I root for New York, but you'll notice that I'm always 100% objective in my rankings. I'm not giving any favoritism to the Yankees for being 2-1. If I was, I could list them up in the top 5 because they had technically the same record as all of these teams. But objectively speaking, tiebreakers accounted for, they only come in at number 12. And coming in at number 11, your Tampa Bay Rays. Now you'll notice in the middle row here is the entire American League East division. Everyone else is spread out here. You got your couple of National League East teams, some West teams, some Central teams, but they're all scattered. You got the entire American League East in the middle row. That's how close the East plays. They're a wonderful parity in some cases. In other cases, Boston, New York just kill everybody, or should I say New York and Tampa, as the case may be, with Boston having lost some critical pieces. Given that, you have the entire league here, and Tampa Bay takes 2 out of 3 from Toronto. Now, the funny thing is that Toronto really gave them a scare. It really looked like Toronto could have taken 2 out of 3, and that would have been a bit of an upset to the Rays. But coming in at number 10, my second favorite team in the baseball are the Miami Marlins, with whom, after taking 2 out of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies, get to ride that all the way to the top row, debuting in week 1 at rank number 10. A humongous jump from last week, where they were 28th, all the way down here. They used the 2 wins over the Philadelphia Phillies to leapfrog all the way to the number 10 spot. Phenomenal work, and I would have been more surprised by it if it wasn't for the fact that they have owned the Phillies over last season. Coming at number 9, your wild card loser, unfortunately, but wild card contender last year, the Oakland Athletics, coming in at number 9, having taken 2 out of 3 from the LA Angels. huge divisional bout there, and the fact they got 2 of them is definitely a great strength for the Oakland Athletics to get the season started off just in the right foot here. Coming in at number 8, despite having lost some key pieces for their season, the Colorado Rockies still do very well. They take 2 out of 3 from Texas and get the debut at number 8. Coming in number 7, your St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals coming off of, I believe, the NLCS championship where they dropped the series to the Washington Nationals. But they had a great potential there after taking out the Atlanta Braves. Start week 1 after taking 2 out of 3 from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And with their run differential, gives them the power to start off at number 7. Coming in at number 6, your Chicago Cubs. After, granted, they had home field advantage against Milwaukee, but they still took care of business. They still took 2 out of 3 from the series. They still got their season off on the right foot. Congratulations, Cubs, coming in number 6. Coming in number 5, your Cleveland Indians. Terry Francona is back at it, winning those series, moving it forward, keeping his team right where they need to be. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be ugly, it just has to be a win. Coming in at number 4, and now the best weeks of all teams throughout this whole first weekend were your Miami Marlins and your San Diego Padres. Padres, with whom I did not have a whole lot of hope, despite they have a lot of premier names, actually came through and took 2 out of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Granted, Bumgarner did not have a very good start, but they capitalized it and they owned them, and that gave them a run differential powerful enough to get them to number 4 spot. And, you know, when you're talking about 30 teams in the entire league, when you're in the top 5, you've accomplished something. Even the top 10 are noteworthy, especially considering the fact that 16 teams are going to the playoffs this year. You've now established yourself in the top 5 to start off the bat. Now you've got it. Hang on to it, Padres. Now, getting into the top 3 here, okay, we have some of the best teams in the league, and they showed it with not only taking 2 out of 3 and winning their series, but dominating those games in the run differential. And now I'm going to start off with the Houston Astros, because while the Houston Astros and the Minnesota Twins have the same record of 2-1 and have the same run differential, the fact of the matter is the edge technically goes to Minnesota because of the strength of the team that they beat. The Minnesota Twins beat last week ranked 21 the Chicago White Sox, while the Houston Astros took 2 out of 3 from ranked 25 Seattle Mariners. Because the White Sox were higher ranked last week, they get the benefit of the doubt and they get to sit at number 2. Houston Astros fans, no disrespect whatsoever. Minnesota fans, congratulations, you got the benefit of the doubt. Again, this is only 3 games into the season. A lot is going to change. It's up to your team, whomever they may be, to make a difference in the coming weeks. Which means that the team that has absolutely owned their opponent this week, taking 2 out of 3 and killing them in run differential, would be your number 1 Atlanta Braves. Getting off to a hot start, getting off and killing their team, owning the New York Mets in New York. Fantastic work, Atlanta Braves. You get to jump from 7-1 to debut in week 1 after 3 games at number 1. Only one team can be in first place, and you did it. Congratulations, Atlanta. Congratulations. Well done. I'm very proud of you. I look forward to seeing what you can do. Unlike the Marlins or the York Yankees or some other teams I like and I root for, I have absolutely nothing against the Atlanta Braves, and I actually commend you and praise you for taking a team last year that were largely rookies and turning them into a formidable opponent, taking the division series, and starting off this year ranked number 1. Well done. Well done. Now, I mentioned to you how the The San Diego Pirates and Miami Marlins had the best weeks. The dunce cap of the week would be your New York Mets, having dropped 18 spots from 12 to 30 by getting just killed by the Atlanta Braves in a 3-game set. Again, very small sample size, even for a shortened season. It is what it is. We'll see how these teams rebound next week, with canceled games on Monday with the COVID infections of Miami, causing 2 games to get postponed until future date. It's going to be very interesting to see how the weekly record, your run differential, your opponent strength, and all the other criteria I have set up brings the teams in for week 2. I'm looking forward to all the baseball. I'm sure you all too. Please leave your comments in the section below. Do you agree with the rankings? Do you disagree? Should your team be higher? Should it be lower? And why? Let me know. I'm looking forward to the banter. I thoroughly enjoyed it last year, talking to some Minnesota Twins fans, some Astros fans, some Cubs fans. I'll talk to anybody. I love baseball, regardless of whether I am personally rooting for that team or not. I love talking baseball, and I love being objective, telling you what I think they need, what I think they don't need, etc. If you just happen to be coming across this video on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel. And as always, thank you for watching. Talk to you next week.